and had additions. What is an addition? Addition is something that is added, that were symmetrical and in proportion. Gothic buildings, meanwhile, were narrower, higher, and more rectangular. Gothic buildings, meanwhile, what does meanwhile mean? You use meanwhile when you want to say something different from what you have just said, something opposite, okay? Were narrower. What does narrow mean? Narrow means measuring short distance from one side to the other. Narrower, higher, and more rectangular. Rectangular. What does that mean? Rectangular means is an adjective of rectangle. Rectangle is a shape with four sides, and all four corners are right angles, which means 90 degrees angles, and each side is of the same length as the side opposite it. Do you understand? Italian Renaissance architects also imitated the Roman usage of columns, domes, and semicircular arches and vaults. Italian Renaissance architects also imitated. What does imitate mean? Imitate means to copy, all right? The Roman usage. What is usage? Usage means how they used something, all right? Of columns. What's a column? Column is a tall or sometimes decorated cylinder shape, okay, which is used to support, used as a part to support the building, a building. Cylinder shape, column, the same as pillar. Cylinder shape. What is cylinder shape? Cylinder shape is having two circular ends and long straight sides. This is a cylinder shape. You understand? Columns. What else? Domes. Dome is a rounded roof. You understand? And semicircular arches. Semicircular. Semicircular means half circle. You understand? Semi means partly. Arches and vaults. What's a vault? Vault is an arched ceiling or a roof. Arched ceiling or an arched roof. The walls and ceilings in the building's interiors were typically decorated with frescoes. The walls and ceilings in the building's interiors. Interior, what is interior? Means inside, all right? Where typically, what does that mean typically? Typically means normally, all right? Typical is the adjective of type. What is a type? Type is a group of things having the same characteristics, all right? Typical means having the most usual characteristics of a kind, of a type. Do you understand? So typically means normally. Decorated. What does decorate mean? Decorate means to add something, to make it look more attractive. Decorated with frescoes. What's a fresco? Fresco is a picture painted on a plastered wall while the plaster is still wet. You understand? A picture painted on a plastered wall. What is a plaster? Plaster is a smooth paste made of sand, lime, and water. You understand? And you cover walls or ceilings with it. It becomes hard when it gets dry. Many of the interior and exterior details were actually copied directly from Roman examples. Many of the interior and exterior, what does exterior mean? Exterior means outside. Details, what's a detail? Detail is small parts of something. We're actually copied. What does actual mean? Actual means relating to a real thing. Okay? So actually means really, in reality. Copied directly from Roman examples. Let's go to the next part.
Okay, let's take a look at some slides. Perhaps the best place to observe the Gothic and Renaissance styles together is in Florence, Italy, at the Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore, commonly called the Florence Cathedral. See it here and here. It uses both Gothic and Renaissance styles. The reason for this is that it was constructed over a period of 140 years, starting in 1296. The main building's shape is a Latin cross, which is typical of Gothic cathedrals. See it here. After a century, the cathedral was complete except for its dome. The original plan called for a Roman-style dome with no external support from flying buttresses. But no one could figure out how to build such a dome, since the Roman art of dome making had been lost.
Okay, what is this part about? Hold on. Let's continue.
That's when Filippo Brunelleschi, one of the most famous early Renaissance artists, arrived. He had visited Rome, where he examined some domes there, and he'd read some ancient Roman texts on architecture. He won a commission to complete the cathedral's dome, which he did in 1436. Take a look. Can anyone tell me what kind of style he used?
Okay, this part is about an example of Gothic and Renaissance styles together. Okay, it's a cathedral in Florence, and it was constructed over a period of 140 years. By the time they were about to build the dome, it was originally designed as a Roman style dome, but nobody knew it after 140 years because nobody used that. Okay, so one artist, Italian artist, visited Rome and looked at some domes there. Okay, and he won the commission to complete the cathedral's dome. Okay, let's take a look at some slides. Perhaps the best place to observe the Gothic and Renaissance styles together is in Florence, Italy, at the Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore, commonly called the Florence Cathedral. Perhaps the best place to observe. What does that mean, observe? Observe means to watch something carefully, okay? Often to learn about it. Observe the Gothic and Renaissance styles together is in Florence, Italy, at the Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore. Basilica di Santa Maria. D means like of, alright? Del Fiore. Del means like of too. So Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore might mean, I'm not sure, the cathedral of Saint Maria of the Fiore family. Because D and del means of. Commonly called the Florence Cathedral. Commonly, what does that mean? Commonly means often. Found. Common means found in large numbers or happening often. Commonly called the Florence Cathedral. See it here. It uses both Gothic and Renaissance styles. The reason for this is that it was constructed over a period of 140 years, starting in 1296. Okay? It was constructed. What does that mean, construct? Construct means to build. over a period. Over means during that period. Okay? Of 140 years starting in 1296. The main building's shape is a Latin cross, which is typical of Gothic cathedrals. The main building's shape, what does main mean? Main means being more important than others in a situation. Main. Main shape. The building's main shape is a Latin cross. What's a Latin cross? If you look at a cathedral with Latin cross, it's in this, look here. This is the Latin cross. This part here is like the entrance, and as you go in, it looks like this. You understand? This is like the place where the priest stands. Alright? And if you look at this structure, this is a structure looked from the top of the building. Do you understand? So a Latin cross building would look like this from the outside. Okay? Latin cross. Which is typical of Gothic cathedrals. See it here. After a century, the cathedral was complete except for its dome. Complete, what does that mean? Finished, right? Except for its dome. The original plan called for a Roman-style dome with no external support from flying buttresses. The original plan called for, what does that mean, call for? Call for means require. A Roman-style dome with no external support. External means from the outside. From flying buttresses, so it doesn't have flying buttresses. But no one could figure out how to build such a dome since the Roman art of dome making had been lost. No one could figure out. What does that mean, figure out? It means understand, alright? Find out. How to build such a dome since. What does that mean, since? Because, right? Because the Roman art of dome making had been lost. It means they no longer have it. That's when Filippo Brunelleschi, okay, one of the most famous early Renaissance artists, arrived. He had visited Rome, where he examined some domes there. Where he examined, what does that mean, examine? Examine means to look carefully at something. And he'd read some ancient Roman texts on architecture. He'd read some ancient Roman texts. What's a text? Text is a written material, all right? He won a commission to complete the cathedral's dome, which he did in 1436. Take a look. Can anyone tell me what kind of style he used? That's the end of the passage. Let's look at the questions.